Giants' embarrassment continues. They lose 38-11 to the Los Angeles Rams, a team that is at this point probably a Super Bowl contender. And they come into MetLife Stadium and make easy work of the Giants. And the interesting thing is that for some reason in the first quarter, the Giants defense doesn't give up points, but only to just get annihilated for the rest of the game, or as long as the game is competitive. Look, we know that there's a lot of injuries that needs to be mentioned. Players that were already out, players that came back that re-injured themselves, as in Kadairus Toney. And Toney is clearly a very good football player, but you have to be concerned about what his injury status is, as he was ruled out immediately with an ankle injury. So he made 3 catches for 36 yards very quickly. As soon as he went out, the offense really spiraled out of control, and even more so when Andrew Thomas got hurt. Now, I don't know if it's the same injury for Thomas. I think it's an ankle injury. Andrew Thomas is one of the most important players for this Giants offense. The combination of Matt Parrott and Nate Solder is beyond horrendous. I mean, it is really, really bad. There's no way that you can win football games with Matt Parrott and Nate Solder as your tackles. No chance. Let's put that right out there. However, today, Daniel Jones, he reverted back to some bad form that he has shown in the past. 4 turnovers today for Daniel Jones, 3 interceptions, and he also lost a fumble on a really bad play by Matt Parrott. And Matt Parrott was, for some reason, not able to recover the ball. I have no idea why. He was right there, but he couldn't recover it. So, in this game, the Giants, things looked decent early, but of course they end up settling for 3 points. The Giants actually were up 3-0 after the first quarter. This was a drive that, at the end gets stalled out, where they get, first and 10 at the 11. Then, they go incomplete to Sterling Shepard, who returned. He was one of the few healthy bodies who not only played, but stayed throughout the whole game. And then they go a 3-yard run for Devontae Booker on 2nd and 10, and then an incomplete pass to Colin Johnson. And so they settle for a 27-yard field goal. You can't do that. That's the type of stuff that you got to get a touchdown. It was a good first drive. And the defense held its own for a while. They really did until they didn't. And in the second quarter, Matt Stafford started tearing them apart, and Robert Woods would get a 15-yard touchdown to give the Rams a lead, which they would never relinquish. And on the next drive, Leonard Floyd just absolutely abuses Matt Parrott. And so, no, it wasn't Leonard Floyd. Leonard Floyd got the recovery. But either way, that gives the Rams great field position, and boom, it is Cooper Kupp, who had an incredible day. They could not contain Cooper Kupp. He would get a 3-yard touchdown. That would give the Rams a 14-3 lead. Then the Giants go 3 and out. And on the Giants' next offensive drive would be an interception by Daniel Jones, intended for Evan Ingram and Taylor Rapp. Rapp had, I think, at least 2 of the interceptions. I think 2, and he almost had 3. Really bad interception by Daniel Jones. So it's 14-3 at that point still. And then Darrell Henderson gets a 2-yard touchdown. Again, really good field position. So easy work for the Rams to make it 21-3. Giants would punt. And then the Rams again, a 25-yard touchdown from Stafford to Henderson. So 4 touchdowns in the second quarter for the Rams. And the Giants, they just play absolutely terrible football, in particular at MetLife Stadium. I mean, it has been a while now where this team, there can't be many worse home teams than the New York Giants. I'm not sure what the stats show, but this is a horrendous, terrible home team. Not that they're much better on the road, but it seems like they have been more competitive away from MetLife. So it's 28-3, and then there's a couple of interceptions. Daniel Jones throws an interception that was intended for Sterling Shepard. This was not Jones' fault. Shepard, lost his footing. And then at the end of the half, Stafford would throw an interception to Xavier McKinney. So it's 28-3 at the half. And, again, fans booed them, deservedly so. And fucking Leonard Williams, who I'll say Leonard Williams did have a decent game today. I think he had 1.5 sacks. He was one of the better players. But, after the game, I disagree with the fans booing. You fucking kidding me? Come on. You got to be kidding me. This team has been a joke. This team has been a joke for years now. They're 1-5. They're going nowhere. Fans absolutely should be booing this team. No question about that. For Leonard Williams not to just say, If I was in my booth too, you can go fuck yourself. The Rams get a field goal at the start of the second half, a long drive, a 13-play drive that goes 9 minutes and 15 seconds. So really just bleeding the clock away, makes it 31-3 Rams. And then Daniel Jones gets intercepted again. Pass intended for Dante Pettis. Dante Pettis, he might play a role as tons of injuries. C.J. Board even got hurt on a kick return. So they are thin at wide receiver. So don't be surprised if Dante Pettis is in the mix coming up here. But Taylor Rapp gets an interception. And at that point, why is Daniel Jones? He should have been out of the game right at that point. He played the entire game. He's coming off a concussion. Why the fuck would he still be in there? He's your quarterback who, they think very highly of, and they think that he could be their future quarterback. Why in the world would you leave him in this game where it's a total blowout and your offensive line's in fucking shambles? I mean, you got to be kidding me. That makes no sense. Sterling Shepard was in the entire game. He's coming off injury. I understand this whole, we got to fight to the end, but come on. No one would have blamed you if you waved the white flag. Just try to protect your players. Hey, you know what? Look, I'm hoping the Giants lose games. So by all means, leave him in. Leave him in. And, maybe you'll end up with Mike Glennon as your quarterback for the rest of the season. And you'll really ensure yourself getting a good draft pick and everyone getting fired. So if they want to play that game, fine by me. So 31-3. And then the Rams get a touchdown pretty well. It took them 5 minutes. And it would be another Cooper Kupp touchdown. 38-3 at this point. Stafford comes out of the game at 38-3. His work was done for the day. What else did he need to prove? John Wolford would come in, the backup for the Rams, and Xavier McKinney would get a second interception. And the Giants would get a touchdown, a meaningless one, reminiscent kind of to the first game against Denver, which, oh, by the way, they got annihilated at home, first game of the season. This one kind of had that feel where they would get a meaningless touchdown. It would be Elijah Penny. And then a 2-point conversion was successful from Daniel Jones to Kyle Rudolph. Look at Kyle Rudolph joining the show. Way to make your presence felt. Nothing else to be said there. 38-11 final. Another season in the tubes. Personally, I don't mind. I really didn't want us winning the Saint game. This is actually the first. I could say this is the first time all year that the result that I wanted for the Giants actually happened. But it does get tiresome rooting against the Giants. It does get tiresome wanting losses. It'd be nice to root for them, when I want them to win and then for them to win. But that just doesn't really seem to happen anymore. So the Giants are 1-5. We'll see what happens as far as the injuries with Andrew Thomas, Kadairus Toney, what's up with Saquon Barkley and Kenny Golladay. There's probably a few others that I'm forgetting. But yeah, I mean, this team is going nowhere fast. We'll see what they do at home next week against the Carolina Panther team, who's coming off of a tough overtime loss to the Vikings. And it will be Sam Darnold's first game back at MetLife Stadium, so he'll have a lot to prove. We'll see how he does. He's had some good moments, some not so good moments this season for the Panthers. But you think that that's a somewhat winnable game for the Giants, but how could I possibly say that when all they do is basically lose? So Carolina should be a small favorite. And based on the way the Giants usually play at home, you wouldn't expect anything too great. But, since the season's out of reach, they're 1-5 and losses is probably more preferable. Maybe they'll throw a win in there. So we'll see. But this Giants wasteland only gets worse. And, hopefully Dave Gettleman will be out of a job very, very shortly. And unfortunately, Joe Judge, for better or worse, he could be losing a job very soon as well.